We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday night and welcome to another episode of Vikings Uncensored. We have reached the end of training camp. Training camp officially wrapped up Thursday with the conclusion of the joint practices with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, of course, we have the final preseason game tomorrow, Saturday afternoon. I believe it's a noon kickoff, thereabouts. And then, of course, And then, of course, on Tuesday is final cutdown day where the teams have to go from 90 down to the final 53-man roster, which, of course, the 53-man roster on Tuesday at 4 p.m. may not be the 53-man roster on Wednesday at 12 p.m.
Yeah, there's all sorts of probably is going to be going on.
Yeah, and especially with some of the stuff that, holes in the teams and stuff that we know that we have there. I'm sure they're going to be watching the waiver wire pretty close and see what's out there. But got a couple of news items we're going to hit on here first. And then, of course, we'll take a look back at the joint practices on Wednesday and Thursday with the Arizona Cardinals. And then we'll look ahead to Saturday's game, kind of talk about some of the players who we think are probably last chance to make a good impression to make the team. Maybe some guys who are definitely safe, some guys on the bubble, all that kind of good stuff. So with that, let's get rolling, shall we? News from around the NFL came out on Thursday, which was kind of an interesting thing. The Arizona Cardinals traded cornerback / linebacker Isaiah Simmons, former first-round pick. I think he was 8th overall, something like that.
What a deal the Giants got for this guy.
Yeah. Traded to the New York Giants for a 7th-round pick.
We never get trades like that around here.
No. Myself, personally, I'd have gave up a 7th-round pick for Isaiah Simmons. I was a big fan of him coming out of college.
Fire on him, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him for I don't know if we actually got to see him on Thursday because he got traded on Thursday, but we saw him on Wednesday.
What a low risk, high reward situation for the Giants here, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the kid was kind of a Swiss Army knife type play. He's that tweener that can play both linebacker and secondary, safety, cornerback, and slot, whatever have you. Arizona did not pick up his 5th-year option, and then all of a sudden decided that they were better off going into the Crash for Caleb or whatever you want to call it thing that they're doing this year and got rid of him. So then they also traded one of their tackles as well. I forget where he went, but it was not as big of a splash move as Isaiah Simmons, but anyway, other news, former Viking Kellen Mond on Thursday was waived by the Cleveland Browns. Rookie 4th-rounder Dorian Thompson-Robinson apparently has won the backup job there, and Kellen Mond is out of a job.
DTR looks pretty good over there in Cleveland, honestly.
He has. I think I've watched about half of one of Cleveland's games, and DTR was playing. And, he was a guy that was kind of tied to the Vikings in the pre-draft process, and somebody that we apparently were fairly high on.
I've been really impressed with him. I've watched all those Cleveland preseason game highlights and DTR's highlights in general. And he has looked very good.
He's looked better than Jaron Hall, we'll put it that way. But that's not a slam on Jaron Hall, but I'm just saying DTR has looked very good, I thought.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think Jaron Hall's been given the right opportunities to really shine, honestly. How can you shine behind an offensive line that gives you 1 second to do your drop back, and then you better figure out what you want to do? Yeah. Not too many quarterbacks would do very well. No,
and I think this weekend against Arizona, I think he may get a little more of an opportunity for that. I mean, we know we have a Nick Mullins. I think Mullins will probably play a couple of series, and then I think you've got Jaron Hall will probably get the lion's share, and then we've also got the newly signed Jordan Tamu, who probably will get a little bit of play in the fourth quarter kind of thing too. But but rolling that into actual Vikings news on Thursday, Vikings recently signed wide receiver N'Keal Harry and signed safety Jake Gervais, who's a former Rams special teams ace. Now, of course, you hear if you pay attention to the X-Files, formerly known as Twitter, there's a certain, we'll call him a content creator, who likes to think he is a reporter who was going to have therapy today because it was called the worst decision of the Kwesi era by releasing N'Keal Harry.
Right. He wasn't gonna make the team anyways.
He was a first round guy that didn't pan out
anywhere
in New England, where they've been desperate for a wide receiver. He didn't pan out in Chicago, where they were desperate for a wide receiver. There was little to no chance this guy was making the Vikings roster.
Came in late, which didn't help his cause.
And we talked about him when he came in. The guy is good at the point of catching, good hands, but he has no ability to create separation, and that's what's going to cause you to have problems in the NFL and cause you to not make a roster.
You know what? Especially in this day and age, honestly, when there's more passing game going on, I mean, you have to be able to get separation. Otherwise, you just need to find ways to catch the ball in other ways that some receivers are able to do.
Right. And now, as we're talking about that, of course, TJ Hawkinson still not practicing. His ear infection apparently is good now, but was experiencing
freaking out over this. People
was experiencing some sort of back stiffness, according to Kevin O'Connell. So he was not taking part.
Stiffness. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. According to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, there are reports coming out from Hawkinson's camp that he wants to reset the tight end market. Right now,
this year, prove to the world why you should get that contract with us this year. I would love that. At least play the season out and prove why you deserve that contract.
Yeah. Now, with TJ Hawkinson, the current top paid tight end in the league is Darren Waller with the Giants, who's making $17 million a year.
Yep.
Now, I don't believe Darren Waller's worth $17 million, and I love.
He might have been, but
I love TJ Hawkinson.
I do too.
But I don't believe he should be making more than a Travis Kelce type player or a George Kittle type player, because he's not.
That's why you play this year and you prove it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkinson is like the tier below those two guys who are making 13 and 14, 13, 15 million, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Now,
take that next step. Next step. It's not a big step, but it's a step. You know, looking at 1,000-yard receiving at the tight end position. You know, and 8 to 9 touchdowns would be that. I'd give him the contract then. You know.
I mean, he wasn't far off from 1,000 yards last year. He had 900.
Right, he only played what 7, or he only played. Like,
well, that the 900 yards is including what he did in Detroit before he came here. But
I think he had 600 and something in the games that he played here, or more.
Yeah, something like that. But
for sure. But I know he did well.
Yeah. Now, of course, granted, with all these contracts, you know, every time a top player in that position signs a contract, the numbers keep going up and up and up. So becomes a whole other conundrum here down the road, as if we want to pay Hawkinson that kind of coin.
Well, we're in the same boat with Jefferson, but Jefferson is a certainty. You know, he's going to
Jefferson is a generational player. You give Jefferson what he wants. Hawkinson's a very good tight end.
In my opinion, Hawkinson has to take that next step. He has to prove that he deserves that contract. I would tell him that if I was management. You go out there and prove it this year, and you'll get that contract.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering, too, maybe that's why there hasn't been a contract extension yet, because, okay, we've got Josh Oliver, we've got Johnny Munt, we've got Nick Muse, who has shown up very well in preseason so far.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Is it one of those things, okay, we don't want to spend 17, 18 million on TJ Hawkinson when we can pay, when we have these other guys sitting there waiting in the wings that we maybe can.
And the thing is I'm hearing swirling in the winds that he may be up for trade bait, you know, but that is, you know, under the, you know, it's kind of quiet noise, but it's there. You know, it is. The quiet noise is there that he may be up for trade. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but maybe that's part of the reason why Detroit didn't want to, you know, dealt him to us in the first place. It's all speculation on my part, but yeah. I've been right and I've been wrong. We'll just go with that.
Yeah. So, but Hawkinson's not going to hold out with week one.
He says he plans on playing that week one game. It's in his plans to be out there on week one. It's straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So.
But then we got one more here. This is the rumor that refuses to absolutely die. In San Francisco on Thursday.
Actually, heard on the way home from work tonight.
Yep. Sam Darnold was named the backup quarterback to Brock Purdy, therefore relegating one Trey Lance to quarterback 3 and throwing his future in question with the 49ers. And instantaneously when that happened, all the rumors started popping up again about the Vikings trading for Trey Lance and da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I could understand people coming to that. Would you take a 7th round flyer on Trey Lance?
A 7th round, I absolutely would.
Well, yeah. I mean,
now I thought about this a lot this afternoon. I would, you know, after all this stuff was swirling and everybody's talking about this, and we were told that there were talks at the combine. Then we were told by, I believe it was Ben Gessling or one of those guys, that said the Vikings never had any official talks with San Francisco about Lance. You know, full disclosure here, I'm a big Trey Lance fan, of course, NDSU alumni. I watched every play that kid made in college. I was at most of the games. I'm a Trey Lance fan. But now looking at him in San Francisco, is it he does not have it to translate into the NFL, or is it I mean, you know, we all talk about how great Kyle Shanahan's offense is.
Right.
But the thing with Kyle Shanahan's offense is he, again, has that structured offense where he wants his quarterbacks to do a certain thing. There's not that big deal with the improvisation and, you know, rolling around and
that's a great take, Ryan.
all that kind of stuff. So there's 2 schools of thought here that I thought about. Okay, either Trey Lance just does not have it, which is an entirely possible, take here. The other take is, and I think this may be leaning more towards what's going on, just from what I know about Trey Lance. Like I said, I know a fair amount about him. Is that Trey Lance's skill set does not translate into that structured kind of an offense like Kyle Shanahan likes to run. And this falls back to that whole back and forth that they were talking about when these guys were drafted, were they going to take Mac Jones? Were they going to take Trey Lance? Now,
was Shanahan sold on Lance, or was it Lynch?
I think it was John Lynch more than it was Kyle Shanahan.
And that we've been down that rabbit hole, not here so much, but in other teams of the NFL where that has happened.
Right. So with that, I think the best spot for Trey Lance would be someplace where they have an offense that is built on that kind of the read option kind of stuff that, whether it be, like what Chicago does with Justin Fields, what Philly does with Jalen Hurts, what Baltimore has done with Lamar Jackson up to this point. Now they're going to make Lamar Jackson playing more of a traditional offense this year, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's even more of a traditional offense, but he's loved. But I think that kind of an offense would fit Trey Lance's skill set much better than that traditional drop back passer kind of thing that Shanahan wants. But looking at that, that's kind of the same type of offense that Kevin O'Connell wants to run. He wants that air attack. He wants the drop back and the throw stuff. Would O'Connell be willing to alter his offense to allow for more of that kind of?
The thing that bothers me about that, Rhino, is what does that tell Jaren Hall?
There's that, but Jaren Hall's a 5th-round pick. He's not guaranteed anything. Now, if you brought Trey Lance in, that would probably spell Jaren Hall going to the practice squad or being picked up by somebody else.
I don't think he'd make it off of waivers, honestly.
He really hasn't. I don't think he's shown enough. Somebody might pick him up, but he hasn't shown much in preseason, so there's probably a fairly decent chance you could get him to the practice squad. Now, I mean, I'm not here to guarantee.
If I brought Trey Lance in here, I'm plugging him at number 2 right away. No doubt about it.
I'm not. Because simply for the fact that just what I was talking about earlier, where Lance needs to have that kind of an offense where he's allowed to run around and improvise and all that other stuff. With Kirk Cousins, you don't have that because Kirk isn't mobile. Nick Mullins is the same type of quarterback that Kirk Cousins is.
That's true. That is true.
God forbid something were to happen to Kirk Cousins and he goes down during the regular season. If you take Trey Lance and have to put him in after that, you got to change up the offense. With Nick Mullins, you can run the same offense.
That's true, but I mean, it can be done, and it has been done.
It can be. It can be. Yes.
Pocket passer to a guy that plays more on improv and outside the pocket. It's been done. But I mean,
I understand it. But like I said, I mean, it would require a change in the offense to go from Kirk Cousins to Trey Lance, and doing that mid-season,
absolutely,
could be difficult. We'll put it that. I'm just putting it that way.
I got you. Yeah. I don't know, man. If I bring Lance in, in my opinion, I'm putting him in at 2 right away. That and this is all speculation. We started this off like talking about like he might not even come here anyways. But if he was to come here, in my opinion, I'd pop him in at number 2 right away. That little bit of confidence possibly coming in, knowing that you're getting that backup spot, and then go from there. But then again, what is that telling you? What is that telling you, the guys that you've been having in camp, this year? It just to say, see ya. But that's the NFL.
And the biggest thing with Trey Lance, and this is the last thing I'm going to say because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole any further because we'll be here for 2 hours.
Yep.
Is him coming here. He's got to prove it before he can get it. He just can't be handed that backup quarterback job on a silver platter with the intent of taking over for Kirk next year.
And that puts a wrench in things too. I mean, this guy's been in the league for 3 years, and he comes here and that's what makes me think it won't happen unless you're going to plug him in at number 2 right away. So
anyway. I just think the media is trying to basically push this into reality.
Right.
And, I was for it earlier, when we were talking about a preseason stuff like that. And if he'd had the whole off season to get in here and work with him and stuff like that, it probably would have been a better solution.
That's why I say you just sit him behind Kirk for this year. But you're right. Why didn't we bring him in earlier then?
Right. But it would be a similar situation here as he's dealing with in San Francisco right now, because Purdy is more of a drop back pocket passer. Darnold is more of that pocket passer type stuff. And then you've got Trey Lance, who is the complete opposite.
Yep.
So, would O'Connell be willing and able to adjust on the fly to be able to take advantage of his skill set? I don't know. I don't think.
But that's if Cousins was to go down.
Right. But and to Kirk's credit, he's always been very durable. But we found out last year with that Netflix series, the quarterback thing, he played with banged up ribs for half the season.
Yep. Because
our interior offensive line is ass and he keeps getting knocked down.
Right. And I would be okay with bringing Lance in at the right price. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. No, if you could get him for a 6th or 7th round pick, I'll bring him in. Anything more than that, and I think I'm going to take a pass right now. And like I said, that's talking from a guy who's a Trey Lance fan. So take it as you will with that. And we're going to move on from this topic because we've already spent 10 minutes on it. It's more than we need to deal with. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the joint practices with the Arizona Cardinals we've held this past Wednesday and Thursday. Of course, still some concerns going out Wednesday, Thursday, both. Kene Nwangwu still not practicing with an undisclosed injury. Well, I have a take on this we'll talk about a little bit later on here, but then on Wednesday, Jalen Naylor back at practice but did not take part in team drills. Hawkinson did not take part in team drills. Actually, I was corrected today watching Purple Daily earlier. Judd Zulgad brought this up. It's actually not Asamoah. It's Asamoah.
Oh.
They've been calling him Asamoah. Been calling him Asamoah for over a year, and apparently it's Asamoah. So we will go with Asamoah until we were told differently.
Our apologies.
Yes. He did one-on-ones on Wednesday, but didn't do team drills. Special team standout and cornerback Najee Thompson, still in concussion protocol, did not practice Wednesday. Lewis Seen also did not due to an undisclosed injury that he suffered on Monday, but did not appear to be serious. Caleb Evans and Mekhi Blackman were both back at full go.
Nice.
They kind of eased him back in on Wednesday. Juwan Williams was running with the ones as they worked both of those guys back in. Getting into the team drills, one-on-ones. Byron Murphy Jr. got a little revenge on his former team, going up against Hollywood Brown in one-on-ones. Had a really nice interception, got perfect position on him, and made it look very easy.
That's the one player I'm excited to see.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got to see him all off season, so it's one of the players I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Yep. As far as the wide receivers running with the ones, Paul was getting a lot of run with the ones.
Wow.
In 11-on-11 drills.
I wonder if that's tied into Kene at all. Maybe they're keeping Powell around.
Yeah, but Powell's more of he's a punt returner. He's not much of a kick returner.
Okay.
Again, the guy he's fighting with, Jalen Reagor, they're fighting for that wide receiver 5 spot. He had a fantastic one-handed catch against our old buddy Chris Boyd.
Wow.
On Wednesday. As we said, Asamoah back, but Ivan Pace spent most of the day on Wednesday working with the ones. Brian O'Neill was back in doing team drills the last 2 days, which is a very good sign for him.
Great news.
Being on track to start week 1 versus Tampa Bay. Jordan Addison, back off a concussion protocol, was basically having his way with the Arizona secondary.
Yeah, there's a highlight that we have on our page on Facebook there where he makes it a great touchdown reception.
Had a couple of both on Wednesday and Thursday. He looked very good. I'm starting to hear from different sources that this kid is looking like Justin Jefferson did in his rookie year.
Yeah, it comes down to it. Whether or not the kid can stay on the field is what concerns me.
Yeah,
but he's got all the talent in the world. There's no doubt about that. This guy is the Randy Moss, Justin Jefferson of this draft, I believe. And if the dude could stay healthy, it's only going to help our offense that much more.
Yep.
3 deep returns, for real.
Yep. Right. Wide receivers in general look very good against Arizona's secondary. Going over to the offensive line, Garrett Bradbury was getting his ass worked in one-on-ones a couple different times again. I talked about this on Rhino.
His ass worked last offseason in training camp too, so let's just hope that that's just the narrative.
Yeah, I talked about this on Rhino's Rants on Monday. We talked about sounding the alarm on the offensive line.
Interior, yeah.
I'm officially concerned. The interior offensive line is my biggest concern on this team right now.
Yeah, we went on that last week on a rant about
on the Friday show.
Achilles heel is the interior of our offensive line.
And I think that, and we talked, like I said, when we talked about this last Friday, I think the interior offensive line could be what keeps this team from realizing its full potential this year.
Yeah, we both mentioned that last week. But
maybe they'll show up better, and when it gets, the games start counting. But
it's going back to the Spielman and Zimmer era, years back, this offensive line has not been great since the late 2000s.
Right.
But anyway, we just need to get more confident play.
Yep.
On the interior.
Right. But anyway, a little more on the offensive side of things. Again, we talked about Jordan Addison had a nice touchdown catch in traffic. Kirk at the end of practice in the situational drills hit Powell for a 50-yard touchdown.
Wow.
Threw a deep shot to Justin Jefferson that just ended up just short of a touchdown. And same thing with Jalen Reagor, another bomb where he ended up getting tackled at like the 2-yard line, something like that.
That's what we need to see more of this year. More shots down the field. They've been ragging on us all preseason about this. Explosive plays. I hear Burchich up there in the booth talking about we need to see more explosive plays out of this offense. And I believe that we will week 1.
Yeah, and I think we're just keeping that in our pocket until the season starts.
Vanilla. Always, every year. You got people that lose their shit over the preseason.
Otherwise, on defensive side of things, we talked about some of the stuff. Andrew Booth Jr. had another couple of nice pass breakups on Wednesday. Kid is looking better the last couple of weeks after he had that really poor showing against Seattle. But the last 2 weeks,
finally,
the last 2 weeks in practice, he's stepped up his game and he's looking better. And I hope he continues that point and gets to the point of.
I know it's frustrating.
I do too.
It's frustrating right now, but I want to see the kids succeed.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of these guys on the team fail. I'd love to see them all succeed.
Yes,
especially guys like Booth. Because we've had so much trouble with getting decent cornerbacks on this team lately. Booth is that guy, another guy that's trending toward that territory of.
He might be saving his roster spot though, just in these last couple of weeks from what he's been.
Hopefully, he was kind of trending into that Mike Hughes territory or the
bubble territory for sure.
Yep. But like I said, last week during the joint practices and things like that, he had 3 interceptions. This week again appeared to show out fairly well. So
his preseason showings haven't been the greatest though, which is what concerns me too.
Yeah,
flat across the middle last week at preseason against the Titans. If that was the regular season game, that would have been a completion.
So, and again, poor showing against Seattle. So we'll see. My guess is he'll get
a fair amount of. We're rooting for him, but we're calling a spade a spade.
Yeah. And my guess, he'll get a fair amount of playing time against Arizona, so hopefully he, can show out something there. But
right.
That was about it from Wednesday. So before we roll into Thursday, we're going to take a quick break here and throw another viral video at you. So you're probably about the time where you need another cold one. So head on over to your fridge, grab another one, come on back, check this out. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're back, and now we talked about Wednesday's joint practice. Let's take a quick look at what happened on Thursday. Again, players that were back at practice. Jalen Naylor was, for the first time in quite some time, a full participant on Thursday. Brian Asamoah also full participant. Mekhi Blackman back doing team drills as well.
Good.
Good to see there. KJ Osborne was not participating. Did not hear why he was not in, whether it was a personal day or what was going on there. Yeah. But again, Brandon Powell was getting a lot of run with the ones when with Osborne out. So take that as you may want to interpret, whether that means he's making the roster or what. We don't know yet.
The roster, he's definitely our starting punt returner. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I'd say it's going to boil down to between him and Rager, unless we decide to keep 6 wide receivers, whereas we'd keep both of them probably. But
Rager's had a good camp. I can't lie about that.
He has. We've
ragged on Rager.
We ragged on Rager quite a bit, and for good reason. I mean, last year
we expect more out of the guy.
Yeah, he's a first round pick, and So I mean, of course, so is N'Keal Harry, but
N'Keal Harry though.
No, but Jalen Rager, I mean, to his credit, I think the full offseason in Kevin O'Connell's offense probably has helped him quite a bit, and it's shown out. He's looked a lot better.
Went from me thinking he wasn't going to make the roster to him actually possibly making the 53.
Yeah, it's a toss-up right now. We talked about that at the beginning of the training camp, that didn't really see much of a path for Jalen Rager to be on this roster. I see it now. He could possibly.
Exactly.
Some of the one-on-ones, there was a really nice play where the best third tight end in the NFL, according to Kevin O'Connell, Johnny Munt, made Arizona's high-profile safety Budda Baker look really silly.
Wow.
He did a little juke step and just blew right on past Baker and scored a touchdown. Videos up on Twitter and things like that. I don't have it. Didn't have a chance to get it saved down, but
3 deep. Screw that. Go 5 deep.
Yeah. Let's go back to the old run and shoot. Let's just air it out. Go to that air raid offense and that kind of stuff. One nice positives thing we saw today, or as we record Thursday night here, Ty Chandler took a wide receiver running back screen to the house.
I see really special things out of Ty Chandler this year. This year. For real. He's going to make a name for himself.
Beyond Chandler, I have concerns, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes here. Let's keep rolling on the another one. Jordan Addison again to Thursday, making his presence known. Had a great touchdown grab in traffic once again. Lucky Jackson, not so lucky on Thursday. He had a Troy Williamson versus Denver moment. He was streaking down the center of the field, wide open by 10 yards. Ball got laid into his hands perfectly, and he dropped it.
That right there, that's the moment.
Yep. That is the moment right there that officially puts the nail in the coffin of the Vikings' career of one Lucky
still
Jackson.
Here, but not for long.
Yeah, he won't be here after Tuesday. So,
man, I still remember that play. T-Jack hit him right in stride and just off his chest, man. And then he falls to the ground, too.
And you watch this play that Jackson had today, literally just going down the field like this, and the ball just right through his hands. I mean, I could have caught that one. So, yeah, very, very unlucky for Mr. Jackson.
Sorry, Mr. Jackson. Ooh.
2-minute drill again. Kirk hit Jefferson for a nice touchdown. Burned himself open in the end zone and hit the gritty at the end of it. Probably the biggest news, though, on the defensive side of things, of course, we talked about Brian Asamoah being back, full participant in practice. He was not playing with Jordan Hicks on with the ones in the defense. He was rotating with Jordan Hicks. Ivan Pace.
Weeks back, Asamoah and Pace are on pace to be the starting interior linebackers at some point in this season.
Well, Brian Asamoah did not. I mean, he was rotating in with Jordan Hicks. Ivan Pace Jr. was wearing the green dot on Thursday and did not leave the field during the team drills.
Our boy is starting this year.
Ivan Pace Jr. is starting week 1. He'll start next to Jordan Hicks, and Asamoah's will rotate in when you need a little more speed, because we know Hicks really doesn't have that.
By week 4, Asamoah. See, I'm thinking about it way too much. He will be.
Yeah, but you can't say Smith right, so we'll just get
Smythe.
Yeah,
Smurth. But I think by week 4, it will be those two starting in the middle, and Hicks will be rotating in.
It's possible. I mean, I planned on that being, those two being our starting guys next year. It's very likely will happen sooner than that, like you said. If it's by week 4, I don't know, but Ivan Pace Jr.
All it's going to take is Jordan Hicks getting burned on a couple of fucking pass routes.
Yeah.
Nothing against Hicks, man. He's a tackling machine. Don't get me wrong. But
and he's good in the blitz too. So I mean, and so that makes it a bonus, especially in Flores' defense, where you can.
Those are two Speedy Gonzalez interior linebackers that you're going to want out there that can cover sideline to sideline, intersecting each other in the middle at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to give offenses headaches when you get those two young bucks in there with that speed, and as long as they're mentally well aware, they're going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, and being young like that, they're going to make mistakes, but they do have the closing speed to make up. As we saw what Asamoah did Christmas Eve against the Giants when he got burned on that one play, but was able to track him down, knock the ball out, and get the fumble recovery.
I think I've seen somewhere we've only got 2 starters over the age of 30 projected on our roster here before the season. Otherwise, everybody else is under the age of 30.
Yeah, it would be Kirk and Hitman.
Hunter. Or
Daniil.
Hitman, excuse me.
Yeah, Daniil's 29, so he's still under 30. But
Hitman.
But yeah, beyond that, like I said,
we've been singing really old to being really young, pretty damn quick, and it's going to show.
Yeah, I mean, we've been singing Ivan Pace's praises ever since we signed him as an undrafted free agent. That this kid, and I talked about this the other night too. This kid has so many of the qualities of what John Randall had when he came into league. Now, of course, different position.
Right now, he has it.
Yeah,
he has it. We all know when we talk football, you know what that is.
Yeah. Different position and different things like that, but he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder because everybody, the guy pre-drafted.
Great college player. He was a great
in so many,
earlier.
And in so many of the mock drafts and stuff, I mean, I saw mock drafts where Pace was going late first round. Most mock drafts had him in the second round. A few had him in the third round. He ended up being an undrafted free agent, and we got him. There is going to be on his Instagram after the Vikings picked him up as an undrafted free agent. I'm going to remember this, and if we ever get the chance to interview this kid, which I'm hoping we do, he had that thing, y'all done fucked up.
Yeah.
When he didn't get drafted.
Yes. He's proven that shit now.
This kid is going to be a very good linebacker for many years to come.
You know what else said something like that along the lines of that came in as a rookie? Randy Moss, and then he only dropped down into 21.
Right.
This dude dropped out of the draft, and as of right now, he's backing up his talk. So.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, that was basically the highlight.
Oranges, but
Yeah. Right, but anyway, that's basically the wrap up from Thursday. So now let's look ahead to Saturday's game against the same Arizona Cardinals. Kind of looking at some of the last chance for some of these guys who we think probably are safe that maybe not before, some other things like that.
If Pace doesn't start this game, that tells you right away,
mm-hmm.
Dude, it's starting week 1. But
I think he'll get a little bit of play, but with Osama back, I think Osama he's going to get some playing time in this one.
Do you think the guys that have sat so far continue to sit this week?
You don't see Hunter, you don't see Hitman, you don't see Kirk, you don't see Jefferson, you don't see Madison, you don't see Darisaw, any of these, any of the guys who are entrenched starters.
I think we'll see a little bit of Addison.
Jordan Addison, we might see a little bit of. I don't expect a whole lot. Mainly because we know where he's going to be. It's going to be they want to see these other guys that are battling for that last one or two spots.
And Monkey Jackson and what's his name? Thayer Thomas, who's actually had a pretty decent.
Who's had a pretty good camp. Tristan Jackson, guys like that.
Yep.
Running back depth. This is one of the biggest things that this is becoming a concern, I think, in my mind. Okay, we all know Madison's running back 1. Ty Chandler has cemented himself as running back 2.
Yeah, easily.
But beyond that, we really don't have a whole lot. Dwayne McBride has not shown up nearly what we expected him to. Now, he played a little better again.
Look who he's running behind, though, too. That's not an excuse.
No.
But that line hasn't done any favors for anybody behind it. That particular line up.
Although you have the newly signed Aaron Dykes, who came in just last week, who was running behind the same line that McBride was doing, and he did better than McBride did. Plus Dykes is a kick returner, which, with the current situation with Kene Nwangwu, may give him a little bit of a leg up on some of the.
Dykes is honestly probably one of my top three guys from the game last week.
Yeah, I mean,
because he just came in.
Yeah, he was there for 48 hours, and he was the leading rusher, I think, on the team.
He was.
McBride, ultimately, I think, has not shown enough to warrant a roster spot. And, I brought this up as a hot take back before training camp started. I thought McBride would end up as a practice squad candidate. Now, I didn't expect another undrafted running back to come in and take a spot, but at this point in time, I think McBride probably doesn't make the final 53.
It comes down to this last game. To be completely honest, I know this is it right here. This is the final test.
Right. I mean, now if he comes out there and runs for 75 yards or whatever,
then he saved his ass.
Yep. But
Possibly.
if not, I don't see him making the roster. That's just my opinion. But Aaron Dykes, I like what I saw from him last week. I want to see more out of him this week. Other than that, the tight end thing is going to be interesting because Nick Muse has been making a case for himself for us to, and if we carry four tight ends, that means we're only carrying 5 wide receivers. That means we're probably only carrying 3 running backs because we're going to be carrying 3 quarterbacks. So that whole, and right now
the competition, man. I mean, it's making you think that you might want to keep 4 tight ends just because Muse is making a strong statement about wanting that roster spot.
Well, and that's the thing. If you cut Nick Muse, somebody's picking him up the way he's playing.
He's not that good of a preseason, yes.
And again, I'm not going all doom and gloom here, but with the uncertainty going on at the point in time with Hawkinson's contract situation, do they want to risk losing Nick Muse with the odds that 2024 their tight ends may be Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt, and Nick Muse and not TJ Hawkinson? So I think it's increasingly more likely that we end up keeping 4 tight ends and Nick Muse makes a 53.
It makes sense. It does. And that touchdown pass he had this earlier in the preseason, he cherry picked that. That was nice.
Yeah, that was a nice catch. And then, like I said, he made Budda Baker look silly today. Other than that, on the defensive side of things, going to be a little interesting to see. I want to see Andre Carter show out a little bit more. He hasn't shown a ton yet this preseason.
Avery looks to be practice squad candidate.
Right now, I don't even know if Avery makes a practice squad. I've been very disappointed in Avery. I had high hopes for him.
Yeah.
I don't know that he even makes a practice squad at this point. Andre Carter right now is probably trending towards ending up with the practice squad. Now, we gave him a pretty good sized guaranteed contract as an undrafted free agent, so maybe that ties into it.
That injury didn't do him any favors in the offseason.
No, and that's the biggest thing. I think he's a little bit behind in practice and stuff because he wasn't.
I like what I've seen out of him when he's been on the field so far, but
he's done okay. But like I said, he's behind. And the thing of it is, if they see Luigi Villon is making, I think he's making a 53
exactly.
And that's where that was. No, so that boils down to you got Patrick. You got your starters are Marcus Davenport, Daniil Hunter. Then you've got a wad there. You've got DJ Wanham. You've got Pat Jones. You've got Luigi Villon, and you've got Andre Carter.
I haven't heard anything about Wanham, to be honest with you, this whole offseason.
And he hasn't played. So I don't know if that means he's safe and they haven't been playing him or what the deal is there.
They got some hard decisions coming up here on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, because they're not keeping 6 outside linebackers. They're only going to keep 4, I believe.
Yeah,
and
starters and the backups,
and maybe 5. Is there a chance that they maybe move one of those guys into defensive end or something? Maybe.
True.
There again, the starting, defensive line pretty well set. The backups there, I'm concerned about the depth. Jacqueline Roy hasn't played. He's been out. Now he's back doing some stuff. He may play this weekend.
Right.
He's going to make the roster. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm not worried about that. But then you've got guys like Jonathan Bullard, Ross Blacklock, guys like that who are on the bubble. I want to see the cornerbacks. Of course, we know that right now Evans and Murphy are your starters. Mekhi Blackman back, probably your 3rd cornerback. Andrew Booth fighting in the mixer. Jawan Williams is going to be in there. Najee Thompson.
Guys right there that we're going to keep right there is that list that you just gave off. Those are the guys that we're keeping.
And I'm pretty sure
one other guy.
Najee Thompson's going to make it, I think, just because of his special teams ability. And I mean, the other big thing is who's going to play the backup inside linebackers. You know, we got Troy Reeder, we've got Troy Dye.
Who made a case to stay on the team this last week
with his interception, and Dye has a special teams ability. I don't know that Reeder. Him. Yeah. Hey, you woke him up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's going to be interesting, and Tuesday is going to be very, very interesting.
It is. It's going to be hell of an interesting cut day. And then that's like we haven't even touched the safety spot yet.
No, we've got 5. I mean, are we going to keep 5 safeties? I mean, I assume we are.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Right now, but I mean, Hitman and Bynum are your starters. They love Metellus. He's not going anywhere. Scene is showing improvement. They're not getting rid of
You don't cut a first rounder after 1 year on your team.
No, especially after most of that rookie year, he was out with a severe, broken leg. Jay Ward, haven't heard a ton from him one way or the other, but I assume they're going to keep him around. So I'm saying they're keeping 5 safeties. Hard to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very tough decisions that are going to have to be made on this team in the next 3-4 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think our depth along the defensive and offensive line is probably our biggest concerns at this point.
Well, that's the thing. I believe Oli Udo probably played himself off the roster last weekend.
Yeah, I'll take Darian Lowe over Udo any day now at this point.
But Darian Lowe is going to be the main swing tackle, I think. But then if you start looking, Blake Brandel, who can also do that, I think.
Tackle if he needs to, yeah.
I think Brandel would probably fill in instead of Oli Udo. Still gives me concern on at the guard spot. I still think we need to look.
We haven't seen all 5 of the actual starters yet.
We haven't seen any of them, but other than Ed Ingram playing.
That concerned me, yes.
But that's still my biggest concern is that position. But
yeah, the depth along the defensive and offensive lines are our biggest concerns.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's about all I've got. You got anything else you want to hit here?
That about wraps it up for this week, I think.
All right. So with that, again, we want to thank everybody for watching. If you're new to the channel and have not done so, please hit that subscribe button. If you are a frequent watcher, if you're not a frequent watcher, hit that like button so that it helps out with the metrics, helps out a ton, helps us to bring you guys more and better content. Just a reminder, of course, next week, again, we will have a full slate of shows. Rhinos Rants on Monday night, where we'll take a look at what happened during the game on Saturday and kind of look forward at some of the guys who are probably going to get cut, some guys that may have saved themselves, and other things of that nature. Brunswick's Best on Wednesdays. Looking this week, we'll take a look at the guys who have worn number 18. And, of course, our normal studio show next Friday at 6 p.m. So with that, again, thank you, everybody, for watching. And why don't you take us home, Lance?
Thanks again, guys. Always a good time. Way to start off the Friday evenings with Vikings Uncensored. And I'm looking forward. We're 2 weeks away, from kickoff here. I'm pumped. I'm going to be there week 1. First game I've ever been to, week 1 opener against Tampa Bay. Never been to a Vikings game before, but I'm going week 1 this year. So with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. And when we actually have the 53-man roster. Millie and Aubrey, if you're watching, Dad loves you, misses you. SKOL.
Happy weekend, everybody.